wish you had water. Very chicken. Taller landing. She doesn't ask Sonny, but that's fine. I'll just die first.
Can I have a roll call, please? Ms. Stantino? Present. Mr. Gibbons?
Here.
Mrs. Gilch? Here. Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mrs. Reese? Here. Mrs. O'Donnell?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here. Mr. Bilodeau, would you like to
Yes.
start speaking?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. O'Donnell, members of the Board of Education, members of the public, good evening. Welcome to Charles W. Lewis Middle School. This version of the Star Students is a little bit different. Mr. Cho, you have, Mr. Cho? Mr. Mercado, stop talking to Mr. Cho. Tim, could you be good enough to be the MC for our Star Students program? Thank you.
So thanks once again for the opportunity to highlight some of the great things happening in the district. This night we're going to do something a little bit different yet again. We wanted to highlight our preschool program. We're really proud of the expansion we've had over the years. And so I will keep it ultra short and turn it over to our preschool supervisor, Nicole Trumbull. You want to step up? And
good evening. As Mr. Shrek said, I'm Nicole Trumbull. I'm the supervisor of the preschool program here in Gloucester Township. I was previously a coach in the program, so I'm growing a little bit. Earlier this month, the preschool program celebrated the Week of the Young Child with our 300 plus preschoolers. And the Week of the Young Child is an event founded by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, and it's all about highlighting young children, how they learn through interactions and play. Many of our preschool staff members, teachers, support staff, the support team, related services are here tonight. They are the people responsible for those rich experiences, those high-quality experiences that we offer. They're here tonight because they're so proud of what we do. They're so proud of our students, and I'm so proud of them. So as much as we wanted to wow you with 300 plus star students full of cuteness, it's one, approaching their bedtimes, and if it's not, it should be. And two, best practice tells us this is a little bit overwhelming of a venue. So we put together a video just highlighting the activities we did throughout the Week of the Young Child as our way of inviting you in to celebrate with us. Please keep it up. community and what they see out in the community. So if you need to stretch your legs at any point, there's a really cute picture back here. And thanks for watching.
Nicole, could you ask your preschool staff to stand to be recognized,
Oh, very
please?
nice.
So normally we do a short recess. I don't think we'll need to do that tonight. We don't have the little peoples here to go get their picture taken. So thanks again for providing the opportunity. And thank you, Nicole and preschool staff, for all the work that you guys do. It really is excellent, excellent work, and has been some of the most exciting things I've been able to be a part of over the last few years, to see that program grow and flourish, and be a part of a lot of the meetings, the pride that you guys do take, and the effort that you put in. We really appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
All right, at this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mrs. O'Donnell, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. On behalf of myself, Mr. Marks, and Mrs. Gilch, I'd like to take a moment to address the reason many of you are here tonight. The Facebook post that came out immediately following a negotiation session. For those who may not be aware, a mix of the board's negotiations and transportation committees met with union representatives for a private and confidential negotiation. Although I am new to the negotiations committee, I do have prior experience with union negotiations, but from the union side. So I knew what to expect. I assumed that we would make an offer, the union would make an offer, we'd go to our separate corners, hash it out amongst ourselves, and then come back together to discuss. Go back to our separate corners, make counteroffers, and repeat until we hopefully came to an agreement. If we couldn't finish in a couple of hours, we'd reconvene at a later date, and each team would keep negotiations confidential until an agreement was reached. I had the expectation of confidentiality. I feel like my expectations are reasonable and fair, and as it should be. Although I can't go into details as I am bound by confidentiality, Mr. Marks, Mrs. Gilch, and I are extremely disappointed in the events of that evening and the events that followed. As anyone sitting up here can tell you, as well as anyone who regularly attends board meetings, I have been fighting for the lowest wage earners for years. And with the support of my fellow board members, we have made strides in the right direction. I'm never one to rest on laurels or think that good enough is ever good enough whenever better is possible. Look, the negotiated, agreed upon contract has a year left. The board had no obligation to negotiate, but started this process because we actually do care. When the board is represented by an attorney, we have to guide him in our goals and representation of us, but in negotiations, the attorney's role is to serve as the spokesperson and drive the ship, so to say. The comment by the board's negotiations attorney, Mr. Cavallo, was completely out of line and does not represent the feelings of any board member or administrators. In hindsight, we, the committee, should have immediately called for a break privately deal with the comment and then reconvene and clean it up immediately. I apologize that someone we pay to represent the board misrepresented us. Mr. Cavallo immediately sent an apology letter to Mrs. Rodriguez, which reads, I am writing to offer my sincere apology to you and the members of the GTSPA regarding my use of the word pigs in reference to them. It was both inappropriate and unfortunate word selection. Even though labor negotiations can sometimes get emotional and heated, the use of that word should never have crossed my mind or have been spoken. I have always enjoyed the negotiations with the GTSPA and the relationship with the past presidents. Again, my sincere apologies. Mrs. Rodriguez responded that the committee was not comfortable accepting his apology at the time. We sincerely hope the committee will reconsider and accept his apology as some time has passed. For the importance of unity, we need to move forward. I want to be absolutely clear. We did not walk away from the table, nor will we. I and the rest of the committee remain ready, willing, and able to negotiate in good faith, where confidentiality and respect for one another are paramount. We all have one goal, and I believe it is the same goal. Let's get there. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Very nice.
Okay, this time, can I please have a motion for approval of the minutes for the executive session, March 20th, 2023?
So moved. Oops. Second.
Okay, who did that?
Mr. Marks.
Ellen Reese.
Marks Reese.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino? Yes. Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes. Can I have a motion, please, for board minutes for regular meeting on March 20th, 2023? So moved.
Second.
Second. Did, as amended? As
Yeah, as
amended,
amended.
yeah, we're gonna need,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. They're as amended.
As amended.
Yes, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino? Yes. Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes. At this time, we're going to have public comments for agenda items only. To anyone wishing to speak, please come up to the microphone at this time. None? Seeing none?
No,
Public comments to the...
Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was pulling my phone up, I apologize. Excuse me. Thank you. Hi, how are you all? Stand here. My name is Ashley Richards. I live in Sicklerville, New Jersey. I am a teacher in this district, and I'm also a taxpayer. I just wanted to take a moment to ask everybody to pretend to be a student for a moment. I'm here in support of our support staff, because they are amazing. So pretend you're a student for a moment. You get up, get ready, you go to the bus stop in the morning, you say good morning to your bus driver, the bus aide who tell you their newest joke.
Is
I'm
this
sorry.
agenda? Because there's going to be a
Oh,
second
I'm
public
sorry, you
comment.
said public comment.
On
That's
agenda
why I-
items.
agenda.
There's
Oh,
going to be a full
I'm
order.
sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me, I'll sit down.
No problem.
Okay.
You'll get a shot.
I thought you said public comment.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, public comments, agenda is closed. Can I have the report of the solicitor, please?
Sure. My comments were, my report was in executive session, and I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Report of the superintendent, please.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Donnell.
Mrs. Johnson.
Mrs. Johnson.
It's been one of those days.
One of those people to my left.
Mrs. Gibbons, so.
Sorry. I know the board does not like me to walk anything on. However, I would not be advocating for our kids. So item 6.4A. 6.4A is field trips. And there is some rationale to all this. I hope to improve this in the future. All three of our middle schools have become eligible to participate in the Penn Relays. This information was not given to the athletic directors until very late last week, and it's a timing thing. The Board of Education also on the 19th of April, no, not the 19th of April, in a prior board meeting approved a Glen Landing trip for Ms. Dorr, 7th grade, to go on the 19th of April. That was canceled. The replacement trip, because anytime we cross into another state, you need board approval for liability. So with that said, if I could read in 4 adjustments to field trips so the kids can participate, they would be as follows. The date, May 5th, Glen Landing, middle school, grade 7, they're going to go to the University of Pennsylvania Museum in Philadelphia. And then on April 27th, for all 3 of these, Ann Mullen, Glen Landing, Charles Lewis, the track and field teams would be participating in the Penn Relays at Franklin Field. So if the board would be good enough to accept them in as amended, I would then ask kindly for consent resolution on item 6.2A through 6.6K.
So moved as amended.
Second.
6.6K
Okay.
as amended.
All right, can I have a motion, please, for...
We did.
Just did.
Sorry, we have a motion and second, thank you. Roll call, please.
Stantino? Yes.
Oh, any questions? I'm sorry. Any questions or discussion? Thank you.
Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Can we have the report of the business administrator, please?
I'd like to request the consent resolution for items 7.1 through 7.7 in the business section.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Who's second? I'm sorry.
Second,
Was that one?
Ellen and I. I'm sorry.
okay. Any questions? Any discussions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stantino?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
I'm going to vote no on check 129224, and yes on the balance.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
I am going to abstain on check number 129259. No on 129224. Yes on the balance.
And Mrs. Johnson?
Abstain on check number 129233 and 129319, yes on the balance.
Motion carries.
Okay, at this time, Mr. Bello, do any old business?
No, we don't.
Any new business?
I just wanted to let the Board of Education and the public know that we continue to have a very positive relationship with the Gloucester Township Police Department. When I first became the superintendent, I was somewhat averse to program that now the soon-to-be retiring Melissa Campana from the police department brought to me a sexting program for students. And the police department did a good job at that time of convincing me and the then board that, wow, our kids with these phones are doing some pretty horrific things. So we first started with, right here in Lewis School, in the cafeteria with a parent night to show parents what their students would see in those assemblies in the middle schools. The police department has, we kind of got away with it with COVID and everything. The police department has revised the sexting video. I have seen it. I asked Mrs. Johnson that we again show it it was actually Mrs. Johnson's idea, let's repeat what we did. So I believe, it's not set yet, but I believe May 2nd, in this building at 7 p.m., the police department and administration will show the revised sexting video, and then subsequent to that, we will let parents and guardians know that we will begin to have assemblies in our middle schools. Hopefully, it's useful and productive that kids stray away from poor behaviors with their phones. So, and really some of the terrible things that can come with it. So, I just wanted to let you know that, and,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right, at this time, we're going to open for public comments. If you would.
Yeah, I don't know if I should.
Please do.
We should.
I'm just kidding, sorry. I was just very excited to talk to you.
No problem.
That's quite all right.
Hashtag I teach kindergarten now. Okay, so again, Ashley Richards, Sicklerville, New Jersey. Like I said, I'm here for our support staff. I appreciate the apology, and I'm sure that the rest of them do as well, so thank you very much.
Of course.
I just wanted to take a moment to recognize all the work that our support staff do throughout the day. So like I was saying, pretend you are a student for a moment. You get up, go to your bus stop, you get on your bus, you say good morning to your bus driver, the bus aide, they tell you their newest joke. You get to school, you get off the bus where, and I'm speaking on behalf of my school, Ariel, Miss Sandy greets you with a big smile and a hello at the main doors. Or you go to the gym door entrance where Miss Kate says good morning with her big, beautiful smile right there and her little wave. She's right out there. Or you're going to breakfast in the cafeteria, where the cafeteria staff gets you in and out while they're singing their little good morning tunes to you and sending you on your way. But then you're walking down the hall and you accidentally drop your breakfast. But no worries there, because Mr. Hector and Mr. Stewart are there to save the day. And make sure you don't cry over your spilled milk on the floor. They give you a fist bump, a smile, send you back to the cafeteria to get a new breakfast. And maybe you're late, so you have to go to the main office where Miss Giovanis and Mrs. Pathanis say, good morning, sweetie, you need to go to the nurse to get your late pass. And then you report to the nurse, and Miss Deb is there writing your late pass, and sure enough, she's going to say something that's going to make you giggle and send you on your way. So then you walk down the main hall, and you see Miss Lisa, Miss Lisa Gassman-Jones right there, who even though you are way beyond kindergarten, still remembers your name and your little face and says good morning to you with a gigantic smile. I just wanted you to think about the number of support staff that our children see before they even get to us in the classroom. That right there tells you how essential they are to us as classroom teachers. We teachers may be the head, but our support staff are the neck, they're the shoulders, the body, the arms, the hands, the legs, and the feet. Because of that, we as classroom teachers can do our job. We can do more with our students. We know more about our students. Two women in particular that I wanted to talk about are Miss Erica Giovanis and Miss Lisa Gaskins-Jones, our past and present paraprofessionals of the year. Very well deserved, might I add. They've had to split themselves among 5 different kindergarten classrooms. That's over 100 students. 100 faces, 100 names, 100 my favorite colors are, this is what I had for breakfast this morning. The list goes on and on. It's daunting to say the least, but both of them took this task on with the utmost dedication and professionalism. You never know the stress that comes with it. Running from classroom to classroom, keeping track of the schedule that they themselves created on their own time to make sure that they have equal time in each of our classrooms. All while toting a classroom cart full of materials. Talk about getting your steps in. These women have been a constant at Ariel for as long as I can remember. Their professionalism, dedication, and sheer love and care for our students emanates each and every year. And I'm reminded of that every single morning as I stand at my classroom door, and every past kindergarten student greets Miss Lisa with a big smile and a hug every single day. That's the type of impact that our support staff have on our children. The students may have moved on, but their love for these students remains the same. When I tell you these women have been my right hand, my backbone through some of my toughest years in teaching, it's an understatement to say the least. I'm sure my fellow classroom teachers would agree with me. The support staff are our equals. They show up every day. They support us with whatever we ask. They are in it as much as we are. But for some reason, they're being seen as less. They're being treated as such, and when in fact they are more. How many of you would be willing to do that job that they do and not even earn minimum wage? But here's the thing, this isn't about a pay rate, it's about respect. Being respectful enough to know what they deserve, not just know it, but give it to them because it's right. If you're wondering why we're having trouble finding and keeping these angels, and yes, I mean angels because they are godsends to us, they're finding careers elsewhere, places which compensate more and respect the job that they do.
Mr. Church, we do
Yes.
3, but then at the end, after everybody else, we just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak, but then we come back if you have more at the end, okay?
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's the microphone.
Microphone.
The microphone?
Yeah, what was that? Was it banging noise? It's the microphone.
Hi, I'm Michelle Casey. I teach at Glen Landing, and I also do our homework club, which is technically called Middle School After School Intervention. So we, from the very beginning, have been limited with hours that are available for teachers to stay after, as far as like paying the teachers. So typically, last year we ran homework club Monday through Thursday, but this year, because of I'm assuming it was a decrease in the amount of hours given to the school, we could only run it Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays this year. We typically have 2 teachers on duty, and one is more math-oriented, one is more ELA-oriented. We have as much as maybe 25, 30 kids sometimes staying, so it's definitely necessary that we have 2. So recently we were told that the hours are running out, so now we canceled homework club the week before Easter, the week after Easter. We start up again this week, but we're only running with 1 teacher. So I just want you to know how important that is. The homework club, we service kids that are, going home to chaos, going home to no one, they're going home to no help, there's 1 parent at home or whatever. So these kids really do need us. So I guess I'm asking for maybe an increase in hours for this year that we can continue the 2 teachers for the homework club. And if we could reconsider next year making enough hours available that we could run it Monday through Thursday. Because even just having it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I mean, homework is given sometimes 5 days a week, so those kids really do need us as many days as we can give them. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Amy Tisch from Lewis. I run our school store here, as you know, and I'm just kind of piggybacking off of the last person that came up. Because every 6 days, the school store services almost every kid in our building. So about 700 students every 6 days goes through our store. And we sell things from deodorant and shampoos to toys to decorations for your house, you name it, we have it. This past year was the first year that we did it, so the only funding I had for that was the grant that I had written from the Gloucester Township
Education Foundation?
Thank you, yes. And so that lasted only a very short time. Then we really were depending on donations from the community, which the community has been amazing, by the way. But so I'm not sure how you go about like asking for the increase in your budget for that, but I am asking for at least $10,000 for next year. I know that might sound like a lot of money, but it's about $1,000 a month, and when I'm literally servicing every kid every 6 days, it's hard to keep our store stocked with things that kids want to come in and they want to see, and we want them to keep wanting to earn that Lewis loot. So we have to keep things in the store that are going to be incentives for them to keep doing that, because it's been successful so far, and I'd like to continue to have that success. So.
I'm sorry, did you say Lewis Loot?
Yeah, Lewis
Yeah?
loot. Yep.
Nice.
You can earn some if you make good decisions here as a board.
Nice.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
again about the discipline code, and I know you guys have been working on it, but Michelle Banbrick, I am a teacher at Ariel and a resident. We came across a assignment book from 2013-14 that has a chart that's about this big, okay? That has, you know, consequences and actually pretty reasonable consequences for the things. But on the board website, there are a million categories, okay? I think this one probably needs a little bit more, but I think this one has way too many. So this might be something to look at when you guys are doing your decision making. So at Ariel, we have some what we call heavy hitters. So I pulled their real-time notes. These are the notes that we put on when there's discipline issues. So
Just be very careful when you're reading that. Okay.
I'm not going to say any
Okay,
names.
thanks.
Nope, I'm not going to show them
All
to
right,
you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. We have a kindergartner who has 5 pages of notes. We have a first grader that has 8 pages of notes. We have another first grader, 7 pages of notes. We have a third grader that has 9 pages of notes. We have a fourth grader that's got 7. This particular child, and one of the reasons I brought this up, is this kid has basically the same behavior, but has 7 first consequences. Because it's 7 different, same behavior, but 7 different categories of first consequences. Because you can name, I guess, a bunch of things. We have a fourth grader who has 9 pages and 3 hibs. Another fourth grader, 3 pages, and a fifth grader with 8 pages. So these are our students that are daily disrupting our students that are trying to learn. And clearly, whatever consequences we're giving them is not working. And I know we've talked about alternative school. I don't know where you put these kids, but this is taking up our time. It's taking up the principal's times. It's taking up the students' time. And they're not learning because this is only a handful of our heavy hitters. So I don't know what we can do about it, but I think we need to do something. And I know, we haven't met again for elementary school, but I know we're hopefully planning to meet. But I don't know if you guys want this, but I don't know, somewhere.
Give me the chart with Mrs. Forsythe?
Yes.
All right, fantastic.
So these are and I don't know if maybe you guys can invite some of the teachers to be on this discipline committee or when you guys are discussing. I don't know, because we're there in the trenches doing this every single day.
We did bring principals.
Along with the support staff. So that's all I have.
Sounds like a
Good
good
evening,
idea.
Michelle. Michelle, Michelle?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You ran away. I was going to address you.
sorry.
No, you stay there. We're a big family. I want to let you know that the board's policy committee has begun to look specifically at 5600, 5600R. They are the policy and the regulation. All those different fields of consequence are 5600R. That's how administrators try to denominate what kids are doing into a consequence. The policy committee obviously feels it's time to revisit it. And we have had an initial kickoff meeting. We did think it was important to include administrators since they are the ones that dole it out. But I think your points about additional staff who are in the buildings and seeing behaviors, that would be up to the policy committee, but I would encourage them to also include teachers and support. Okay?
And I don't know, I know we've talked about alternative school, but maybe that's what we need to consider is to get some of these students who really can't function in an everyday classroom. And I'm going to tell you, these are only public notes. We don't even know what's the private notes. We can't see. And this is just from this year.
Yep.
That's how many pages and these are, these kids are really disturbing the other children and their learning process. And we can't let a handful of students do that.
We're looking at everything. Everything's on the table.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have,
Go ahead.
hi, Patty McBride, President, GTEA. I will jump on with Michelle as well. With the discipline, I would encourage the board to at least listen to what the teachers and support staff have to say, since we are on the front lines on a daily basis. And we are going to meet with elementary teachers and with upper administration again on this. But you need to hear from the teachers, not just from the administrators in the buildings, because they say one thing and then we might say a different thing. So I would encourage you to think about that. And next, I have a question about all the ESSER money. When she questioned, the funding for her school store, I thought part of the funding for the state was to set up a committee of people, of community, board members, instructors. I mean, is there any of that money left that they could use for that? I mean, I never sat on any of those committees or that funding. Is there going to be a breakdown of all that money, the output of that money?
Well, in any type of federal grant, there has to be an application process, so that existed. There's been different pods of money that's been bestowed to all districts in reality, and different years have to be utilized. Each of the schools have received a piece of it. Unfortunately, some of the things that are affecting us, we have had to shift because we want to be able to use the federal money and not lose it. So one of the things that is really impacting the district this year is the amount of students we need to, because of behaviors and other challenges, and because we have space limitations in our buildings now. We need to, unfortunately, send them to private schools. And if you take a look at our bill list or what is approved on the agenda, you know these tuitions can be $100,000 for the tuition, $40,000 for the bus, a $35,000 aid for the student. So there's something on the agenda tonight. Unfortunately, we had to make sure we spent the money and did not lose any money, which would be a poor decision. We shifted some money around, so we spent the money on unfortunately, tuition. Another large amount of that, Patty, is the American Recovery Funds. We received the biggest amount of money on the agenda also tonight. We have had an engineering firm, Remington and Vernon, come out and look at the district, all the buildings as far as its heating and ventilation. It's very old. And even if it's a building that doesn't have air conditioning, the heating system, other than the boilers, the downstream pipes and the individual unit vents in our classroom are old and beyond their useful life. So the Buildings and Grounds Committee was presented the executive summary. They want $84 million to improve our buildings. We don't have $84 million laying around, but the two layers of the most important projects that things have gone beyond their useful life and are imminent to fail, the board did agree and has approved tonight projects that are about $12 million. How we're paying for $12 million. We applied for a grant called a ROD grant, a regular operating district grant. If we're successful, we're going to get 40%, or in this example, about $4.8 million from the state. We're going to add about $6 million of the American Rescue Funds to it, and then we have capital reserve. So we are similar to our roof project and different things we've been adding to our buildings. We certainly think air quality in all our buildings is important. So I know I'm long-winded on how did this federal money get spent. I do.
3 minutes up.
Mr. Long's giving me a 3-minute call. So I think I got off the beaten track. That's how the money is being spent or intended to spend, but it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be funding the board consider for the Lewis Middle School or other thing for our kids.
For our after-school homework club.
Or for the homework club, and I don't know the answer to that. There are so many different accounts that fund things. It would be unfair to try to answer that tonight, but I promise to look into it.
Will there be a summary of all the money that is from the American Recovery and from the ESSER? Will there be a conclusive summary of where the money was spent when all is said and done?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dina Hendry, Summerdale. This 2 meetings ago, before this one, we had an awesome report about the violence report, and it said no, 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 no for the police being called, and I believe Ms. Bilbao said that you needed to take a peek to see if that report was true, entering error. I didn't say anything bad, and you got it.
There was a ghost cat.
Used to be in Gavel Left. So I was just wondering, did you look to see if the report that was presented to us is legit, or was it some errors in it? And if there is errors, which I hope there is, are we going to get an updated report?
Well, I will tell you that I don't have the complete answer, but I will tell you where we are tonight. I certainly have met with Mr. Hildebrandt, who's the supervisor who gets the information from the schools. So again, it's inputs at the school level that then come in to a central administrator, and then that report was produced. He's still reviewing that report, but we have had administrative meetings about making sure that the things that are mandatory for that violence and vandalism, it's the old violence and vandalism report. That's what it used to be called.
So when do you think that we would get a more accurate report presented to the parents and the taxpayers?
I don't know. How about next month?
That's cool.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Is there anybody else on you?
I think Ms. Richards still out
I'm
there.
sorry. I was just gonna piggyback really quick on what Michelle Lambert said. My son attends our school, and these particular cases that she is talking about with student discipline, I've seen the repercussions of what happens when a student who is a rule follower, he's a teacher's child, so yes, views those types of behaviors in the school. And I have to say, it happened, one of those students in particular is in my son's class, who is a chronic offender, I would say. About a month into the school year, first time my son came home, and he was scared to go back to school because he was afraid of what could possibly happen with that particular child in his classroom. So I do implore you to please do something about the discipline, because we do have children who are legitimately having trauma, having seen these types of behaviors that we are dealing with on it. It's not a single occurrence, it's an everyday occurrence, especially at our school. So we see it because we're in it. And I feel we spend so much time, not that that child doesn't need our help, but we forget about the collective, and they are just as equally as important. And I've seen that through my son. And I want it to get better. I know it can get better, and I completely 100% agree with Michelle and Patty that you do need to speak to the classroom teachers, because we have seen so much change in the last couple of years with students and their behaviors and things that those consequences that would have worked 5-10 years ago, they're not flying now. Because a lot of times we are now the parent. We're helping raise them because they were never taught that. So I implore you, yes, please fix that and make it better. Thank you very much.
One more comment, please, Patty?
Oh, how do I say this? I appreciate Ms. O'Donnell, your transparency with the support staff negotiations and his confidentiality level. Moving forward, you had asked them to accept his apology. He made a mistake. Obviously, and we all make mistakes, and you want them to accept his apology, which I hope you can understand has to go both ways. Okay? And I don't know if that's happening. But moving forward, is Mr. Cavallo still going to be representing the board?
So we're talking about RFPs. We're talking about
We're- the-
Can't answer that question.
So,
You can.
okay. So each year, the Board of Education goes out for RFPs for professional services. And for negotiations, one of them, I'm another, doctor, auditor, architect, engineer, everybody. Those went out last week, and the board makes its evaluations, I think you're going to convene the committee within the next few weeks, right?
May 2nd.
May 2nd. So after that, the board will act at that point on everybody, not just him, me too. So we can't make a comment on that, but stay tuned.
Thank you.
Did you? You're the last. Go ahead.
Yeah, you do.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Gina Rodriguez, support staff president. I appreciate the apology. The only thing I'm going to say is I'm one person, and there's 260 some other members of this association. So I didn't feel comfortable accepting the apology from Mr. Cavallo, only because the other people weren't there to witness what took place. I was floored, totally floored, shocked. I didn't know what to do, and I'm never speechless. I was speechless. So, on behalf of them, I just told them through emails and when I see the people, if you guys want to accept the apology, fine. I know things get heated and people say things they don't want to say. It comes out the wrong way. But they said, did you hear from anybody? Did anybody come and talk to you or whatever? And I said, Mr. Tro came to 308, got me out of the room. Mr. Bilodeau came at 11 o'clock that next day. We spoke and whatever. I think I was just expecting you to just like say, yo, Frank, back up. Like, whoa, don't say that. And nobody said anything. So me, I'm thinking, well, maybe they were just as shocked as I was. Because if it was one of our executive people, it wouldn't happen. You could bet every last penny you had, it would have never have happened because I wouldn't have allowed it to happen. Because if that's truly how you feel, that you don't feel like then why didn't somebody just say something at that moment? Or were you just that shocked that came out of his mouth? And not once, but twice. So, I didn't know what to do. I really was I was at a speechless moment. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And like I told you, I went home. Nobody was home. I couldn't bed. He wasn't home. They were eating dinner. So I was like, I apologize. If I spoke out of turn, I'll take the brunt of that. Don't blame anybody else in this room for that. That was me. But again, you're my boss. I would stick up for you. I know I would. I love my job. I love the people I work with. You know what I'm saying.
Gina, you're a great employee, right?
I've never said no to anybody except Mr. Gansey
You're a
when he
great
asked me to
employee.
answer
The board's
for
going
him.
to
I
speak.
don't do fun.
The board will have their comments on our board member comments. Listen, that was a negotiation session that I've never seen before. I think Mrs. O'Donnell did a very good job saying it should have been brought out in the hallway, not in front of everyone, to be fair. I will say this, and I'm going to first take up for all the good people that work here. We have great employees here in so many professions, and if we don't have them all working together cohesively, it really tears us apart.
It takes all of
And
us for
it
these
does.
buildings to
And I
work.
think that's what Mrs. O'Donnell and the board wants, that we want to move forward from this. Now look, I will say one thing about Mr. Cavallo. No one in this room has been in a negotiation room more with that man than me. Hundreds and hundreds of hours that I wish I had back in my life. Half of it, which are Patty's fault. But he, and this is my word, he has never had an outburst in
Angel
my
said that
presence
too.
like that ever. And I don't know if it was something, and I know he feels regret. I've spoken to him. I'm sure he wants to get this train for this district back on the tracks.
I passed the letter on.
Yes.
Like I
So
said,
I'm just letting you know, we were all in shock because he's not like that. But that's my word for it. You're all very good people. We need you all here to make it work.
But just
I'm proud of all of
understand where
you.
I'm coming from. I didn't feel comfortable their witnesses for me to accept an apology from anyone. Well, I did from you. But you know what I mean. Like,
Great.
but that's what I'm saying. So if it came a little sooner, maybe, like, I don't know, from you guys. Like, I was hurt. I was crushed. And I didn't know what to do. So when I went home, yeah, I vented. Because nobody was home, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I was in a total state. My ears are probably purple now, too, so the blood pressure. I refuse to take blood pressure.
Thank you.
I'm the secretary at Union Valley. Thank you for your comments, all of you, and I do appreciate you saying that you appreciate this. Here's my question. We are about to enter negotiations. I am the secretary's rep. I am very uncomfortable being in a room with him. Negotiations. I would implore all of you to think about that. And if he's so happy with his apology, why isn't he here addressing us tonight? I can see him. That piece of paper doesn't mean anything to me. Sorry. Thank you for listening.
Okay, at this time, seeing the public portion will be closed. Is there any board member comments?
I would like to. Mr. O'Donnell, thank you for taking the time to read that and educate everybody. I would like to speak for myself. We all know negotiations are hard. They're horrible. They're stressful for everybody. There's always a rainbow at the end of it. I think everyone in that room during that meeting were shocked. I was shocked. I am very far for words. I was shocked. So that's why nobody heard anything out of myself. What do you say? What do you say to a grown man that's representing you?
Please.
So, I actually made a request that there was some apologies made. I'm going to apologize for myself and the other board members for not acting quicker. Maybe we should have. But looking back, what do you do? What do you do?
Anybody, board member comment?
What I would say is there is not much we can do about what took place. We can only do what we can moving forward. And I look forward to sitting down and moving forward with all the employees once again. Thank you. And great choice on shirts tonight.
Anyone else?
I also have some comments. I don't think it would be right for the board members to reprimand him in that room. Just as if you did something wrong as an employee, you wouldn't want Mr. Bilodeau reprimanding you in front of a bunch of people, even if you did it in front of a bunch of people. I would never in a million years...
Please, no more comments.
I would never in a million years make my husband wrong in front of my children kind of concept. I would never tell you that you're doing something wrong in front of your coworkers. We dealt with it privately, and I do honestly think that that's the way it should have been dealt with. I'm sorry that if you don't agree with that, but I do agree that it should have been dealt with privately, and we had conversations privately with him regarding that. And I do have other comments that don't pertain to this. Mr. Bilodeau, I want to thank you that I saw on the bill list wrestling mats for all of the middle schools. It goes bad wrestling mats and old wrestling mats hurt kids, so it was really great to see that. I also had my very first meeting with Special Services. I'm on that committee now, and thank you, Dr. Martin and your team, for opening my eyes. I am floored at some of the things that I guess you guys all have to deal with, right? It was enlightening and painful to hear some of the things, and I wanted to thank you for that. I want to be clear on something else. For those of you that may not know, At the last board meeting, during board member comments, a gentleman left very angry, saying that we don't care and we are here just to collect a paycheck. And I can promise you neither of those things are accurate. So we volunteer to represent the taxpayers, the parents, residents for $0, and I'd absolutely do it again. And I also want to say that you guys are awesome. I absolutely love the packed house of passionate people. I want you to know that I am here for it, and I appreciate you and you in coming here. For those of you who know me well, and some of you do, you know that I'm outspoken, and I typically just say what's on my mind. I don't pull many punches, and most of the time I don't have a filter. And I'm also very passionate about this, but I took an oath that always has to be in the forefront, and that is saying I can't comment on certain things. It is painful for me to say that, I'm sorry, I can't talk about that, because I would love to tell you everything, but I can't. I want to thank you for coming out and sharing your feelings with us. I wish I could share back in the most transparent way, but I cannot. So thank you.
I would like to also, being in that meeting, I'd like to thank Jen for reading what she read. I was shocked. I have been in negotiations with Mr. Cavallo when I was on the board 16 years ago. I didn't know what to do. It was, yes, should I have said something? Hindsight now, I probably should have. It's not that we don't appreciate you, because I do appreciate you. You all know that I have a mouth and that I don't hold things back. But we're also told we're not to speak in negotiations. So I apologize. I apologize for not saying anything. It's not that I don't appreciate any of the staff, support staff, everyone. It was an unfortunate event, and I want to work and move forward. We need this. We need you to make this school work. You support staff is there, and you, without you, it wouldn't work, and I know that. So I do apologize for that happening. I was taken back because I was shocked that he even said it, and I don't even know if anybody saw the people that were in there. I was beat red. I didn't know what to, I'm like, what just happened? I am disappointed in the comments that were on Facebook, that the confidentiality left that room the way it did. I am very disappointed in that, because I feel as a board member, I have never put confidentiality out there on the street. I do say a lot, but there are certain things that I will hold that is confident. So I was disappointed that the confidentiality left that word. I was disappointed that the three of us were on Facebook. You know, especially with that person not even being in that meeting, and that person wrote what they wrote on Facebook. So I was disappointed in that. I do appreciate you all, and I hope that you all know that. I think most of you probably know that. But so I deeply am sorry for what happened, and I will take blame for not saying something, but I was shocked. So please don't think that we don't care about you, because we do. So, and I also like to thank the Gentless family for donating the French horn and some musical things that his family donated. Mr. Gentless has passed away, so I'd like to thank the family for doing that. And I also like the honors band and choir at Glen Landing was tremendous, as always. To get a group of kids together in such a short time and for them to play and sing like they did, it's amazing. So we appreciate all of you, teachers, support staff, everyone. We do appreciate you, and I hope we can work together and let this go over the hill and start going back up the hill in the right direction.
Anyone else?
I would, please. First, I'll address the good.
I also attended the Glen Landing, it's the middle school honors band and concert, and as always, it was not disappointing, it was excellent. I believe Mrs. Gilch, Nancy, and I went to the eighth grade dialogue. It was down at Winslow Middle School, and it's a conglomeration of middle school children from all over the county, and they're kind of all on a stage. They're interviewed by a moderator from New Jersey school boards, and they're kind of put like in an administrative role. What would you do if this were your school? And the funny question that they always get is, what do you think of homework? And that's always a good response. There's usually about 15, 20 children. So it hadn't happened for a couple of years, but it's now back in full swing. So it is something annually that New Jersey School Boards puts on, and it's excellent. And for those of you that don't know, I was not in the meeting when all this happened, but any one of us could have been. It's what committee you're assigned to. I've been in negotiations plenty of times. I've seen both sides. I've seen where you want to pull your hair out, but never once would I have walked out of a room with any of the unions that we negotiated successfully with and felt like they're meaningless to me, because you're not. Without you, we have nothing. We have a bunch of children in a school that need each and every one of you and each and every one of your roles. So, I too don't downplay what was said, but in order to gain forward progress, we have to do something. We have to be able to, I guess, let it stay where it is in the past and move forward with good faith. So, thank you all for coming out tonight.
I guess I'm last. Oh, Keith.
I also wasn't in the negotiations, but I was in the policy committee, which I appreciate. Well, first let me back up. You brought it beautifully of how the progress of a kid's day, progresses and who they see, and thank you, all of you. On the policy committee part, I wanted to thank you for bringing the point up about the shorter thing, because that's something I hadn't thought about, a child being able to have so many firsts in that category. So I really appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight.
Okay, I would also like to add on about the honors band. They were fabulous. We have sat here and said we care, and we do. We really do. I've said many times, we have all said many times how much we care. I've been a member of the support staff for 25 years. I was the one, when the kids got off the bus, that they said the child that was crying to Mrs. Johnson because they didn't know how to act. For 9 years, I opened ketchup containers. I cleaned up spilled milk. I forced kids to eat because they were throwing their food away. For 9 years, I did that. For another 16 years, I was a secretary. So I know both sides. I know what you guys go through. I've been saying for 25 years, more than 25 years, we need to take care of the support staff. We are trying, but we can't do it overnight. It can't happen overnight. We also have to be responsible to the taxpayers, and I would love to just say, let's do it, but the money's not there right now. We can work on it. We will work on it. We will figure it out. Thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Is this the bar?
What's that?
Right now.
Mind your business.
No, you got this one too. It's your salary.
I do have more copies of this if you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, 6 is